To begin the program, I would ask everyone to please rise for the presentation of our colors and the singing of our national anthem by Police Officer Cynthia Acera.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And thank you, Officer Sarah. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for our invocation by New York City Police Department Chief Chaplain, Rabbi Dr. Alvin Cass.
We pause for a moment of silence in memory of the victims of the horrible massacre in Las Vegas. Almighty and eternal God, thou who controllest the destiny of all peoples and in whose hand lies the fate of all nations, accept our humble gratitude for the boundless blessings expressed in the life of Detective Stephen McDonald. At this difficult moment in the nation's history, when we think about those who died in the terrible massacres in Nevada, the message of Stephen McDonald's life, a message of love and forgiveness, is more important and relevant than ever. We think, too, about the fact that 86th Street, which will soon become named in his honor, it marks the place where his beloved precinct is placed, and it also connects the East Side and the West Side. In the same fashion, Stephen McDonald personifies the New York City Police Department at its very best, and his life is a powerful connective, binding together people of every race, religion, color, and creed. May the saga of his heroic life ever galvanize our efforts together with the Mayor de Blasio, Police Commissioner O'Neill, Patty and Connor, and all the men and women of the New York City Police Department in their unceasing efforts to make New York truly a society founded on justice and equity, where peace and security, happiness and prosperity, right and freedom will forever reign supreme. Amen.
And thank you so much, Rabbi Cass. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. It's indeed my pleasure to introduce members of the dais assembled with us here this morning. I would ask that you please hold your applause until all have been introduced. Seated in the first row and on my right, the Chief of Department, Carlos Gomez, the Police Commissioner of the City of New York, the Honorable James P. O'Neill, the Mayor of the City of New York, the Honorable Bill de Blasio, First Deputy Police Commissioner Ben Tucker, the Speaker of the New York City Council, the Honorable Melissa Mock-Beverito, New York City Parks Commissioner Mitchell Silver, Commissioner of Emergency Management Joseph Esposito. In our second row, the Police Department Chief Chaplain, Rabbi Dr. Alvin Cass, New York City Council member from the 6th District, the Honorable Helen Rosenthal, and Police Department Assistant Chief Chaplain, the Reverend Monsignor Robert J. Romano. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our dais. We thank them for attending. It's indeed my honor now to introduce the Mayor of the City of New York, the Honorable Bill de Blasio.
Thank you. We're gathered today to do something very, very important. To honor a man who was one of the very best amongst us. I have never met a better New Yorker than Detective Stephen McDonald. Never met a better human being. I never met someone who lived his values more. And you know, there are many people of faith, but it's an everyday challenge to put faith into action. Stephen McDonald put his faith into action every single day, without fail. And that's something to honor, that's something to celebrate. I want to thank all the leadership of the NYPD who are here, Commissioner O'Neill and First Deputy Commissioner Tucker and Chief of Department Gomez and all the other leaders and members of the NYPD who are here. I know this is both a solemn moment and a moment of deep, deep appreciation for a man everyone looked up to. And I want to thank the City Council for making this street renaming possible. Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito and Councilmember Helen Rosenthal, thank you for your commitment to honoring this man. And I'm going to talk about, in a moment, a few members of the family. But I'd just like to ask everyone, this whole extended family, the McDonald family, has been not only extraordinary, the way they supported Stephen over the years, and the love and commitment to him, but they became examples to all of us. They became a light and a beacon to all of us. Could we have a rousing round of applause for the McDonald family, please? We all know that Stephen's journey was not an easy one. It was a challenge, and there was pain every step along the way. But I don't think we've ever seen anyone handle the challenge better. And there's many people who are blessed to have all of their abilities fully intact and try and get ideas across and a message across. But Stephen McDonald, even with some of the physical limitations he faced, had the clearest voice of everyone. Sometimes his speech may have been halting, but his voice was as clear as could be. And everyone felt it. Everyone felt it. You could not be in his presence without feeling his truth. And what is so extraordinary is his devotion to giving us all a simple and straightforward message of love and forgiveness every single day, because it's a message the city needs and this world needs. And he understood that he got to be that messenger. He didn't bemoan his fate. He saw it somehow as a blessing, and that alone took a strength that's hard for most of us to possibly imagine. But you could see his sense of mission. And it was inspiring every single time, literally every single time. You could not be in his presence, hear his voice, hear his story without being moved yet again. And he particularly loved to talk to his fellow officers. He had a special feeling for new officers as they started on their journey, to help them understand how important their work was, how precious their mission was, how extraordinary the calling was. And he imparted that wisdom in generation after generation. As part of why the NYPD is as great as it is today. We cannot underestimate his influence. This department is renowned and respected all over this country, all over this world, for many reasons, including its ability to continue to grow and get better, to heal the wounds of our society, to reach people in need. This department has become the model. Everyone comes here to learn about the NYPD. Well, the NYPD became greater and greater in no small measure due to the influence of Stephen McDonald and his incessant belief that we could all draw closer together, that our police and our community could become one. And his message, his ideals, live out every single day across the neighborhoods of this city. Every time one of our officers builds a relationship with a community member, every time a community member steps forward to aid an officer, to thank them, to work with them, that is a small example of living up to the ideals of Detective Stephen McDonald. We're going to have another reason to remember him, because this street crosses our greatest park. It is literally the center, the heart of this city. It will be named for him. It had before a name that probably didn't inspire us much, the 86th Street Transverse. But now it's going to have a name that will stir us, move us, guide us. Detective Stephen McDonald Way. Doesn't that sound good? And this precinct where he served, the duty he loved to perform, the mission he was so honored to undertake, the uniform he cared for so much, is obviously also the place where he was so grievously injured. But we know, again, he did not bemoan his fate. He simply saw it as another step in the journey. And the forgiveness he expressed is like a clarion call today. Still almost unimaginable that someone could summon that level of faith and charity, and yet he did for all of us to see. I was in the hospital with the family a few days before Stephen passed away. And this very faithful family, we all stood together, prayed, and the love and the faith that animates this family is just overwhelming. It's beautiful, it's powerful. And it became clear to me over years, but particularly in that moment, that Stephen's faith made his family strong, but his family's faith made Stephen strong. It all went together in such a powerful way. There's no way he could have done so much good and been not only a hero to New Yorkers, but to Americans and to people all over the world, and certainly to police officers all over the world. He could not have done that alone. So Patty, I want to say to you, you never sought the acclaim or the credit. I know that's not what you're about. I know you just loved him deeply and shared his faith. But every time we think about his greatness and his contribution, we have to thank you too. God bless you, Patty, for all you've done. And Connor, this is today another example of what you and I spoke about a long time ago. Not only keeping his name alive, but celebrating him everywhere we go and using him as an example that makes everyone else better. Connor, I want to say to you, I can only imagine the depth of pride your dad had for you. It's one thing to just be a good, loving, caring son, that you are. It's another thing to put on the uniform and follow in his footsteps, which made him immensely proud. But you also are carrying on his mission in every way. I've heard your voice. I know how much you believe just as deeply as your dad did. And I know that your presence in our police department, not only helping New Yorkers every day, it's reminding everyone to live up to the example of your father. So God bless you for all you are doing for the people of New York City. And I learned some news today that we should all be happy about, and certainly something Stephen looked forward to. But there's nothing more beautiful than a wonderful family continuing to grow and thinking about the great generations ahead. So I heard today from Connor that he and Katie are now engaged. Congratulations to you both. What a wonderful couple. So, this day, we're not for a moment going to forget all that Detective Stephen McDonald went through. We're not for a moment going to minimize his sacrifice, which was extraordinary and deep. But I think he would have wanted us to remember the hope that he tried to every day engender and every day live and every day remind us of. You know, I had a conversation after an NYPD ceremony with Detective McDonald, and he really expressed a belief in just those few moments that we could bring everyone together, and that the idea of healing was real. It wasn't just a dream, it was something we could make real. And he saw the good things happening. He saw police and community starting to grow closer, and it was something he believed in so deeply. It's never easy to make ourselves better. It's never easy to learn the lessons we have to learn. But I'll tell you something, when someone has lit the way for us, the way Stephen McDonald did, well, it lightens the burden. It gives us the energy. It's humbling. I hope everyone here who was ever in his presence felt as I did. It was a humbling experience to wonder if you could ever be as great as that man in any way. But I don't think he wanted us to be humbled. I think he just wanted us to believe. He wanted us to believe that that love, that forgiveness, that healing was possible on this earth. He lived it. He showed it. I don't think he could have done anything more to show us what could be. We will remember him every single day, and we will do everything we can to be as good on this earth as Detective Stephen McDonald was. Thank you. God bless you all.
And thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I also want to acknowledge the presence of New York City Council member and Chair of the Public Safety Committee, the Honorable Vanessa Gibson. Thank you so much for joining us today, Council member. It's indeed my pleasure and personal pride to introduce the Police Commissioner of the City of New York, the Honorable James P. O'Neill.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Detective Stephen D. McDonald Way. I'm assuming the other transverses will be very jealous. Thank you, Mayor de Blasio, Speaker Mark Viverito, Vanessa, Helen. Thank you for all the work, the hard work to get this done. It's important that we got it done. Members of the Central Park Precinct, and of course, Patty, Connor, Katie, the rest of the McDonald family. Thank you all for coming here to honor Stephen and to celebrate his incredible life and career. I call Stephen's life incredible, and it certainly was. It was also so much more than that. In the 3 decades since he was shot, Stephen affected countless people, including myself. The first time I met him was a few short yards from here back in 1998. He affected people in countless ways all around the world. And for everything he did for this police department and the city alone, we could dedicate hundreds of streets to him, from the Bronx to Staten Island to Long Island in his honor. But today it's important that we're here. We're here at the precinct where Stephen worked and where the course of his life changed in an instant. This is where Stephen first transformed that senseless act of violence more than 31 years ago into an overpowering message of hope, forgiveness, and love. His life was truly remarkable, and his death left us all with an emptiness that no memorial could ever fill. Today's street dedication and other ceremonies like it will never ease the pain of his passing, but that's not the point of it, is it? No, instead, this is an opportunity to celebrate how Stephen chose to live and to fully appreciate how he made every one of our lives better. And now every person who traverses this most beautiful part of our city, and it is, got to work here and see all 843 acres for 2 years, will see Stephen's name. For generations to come, people from all over the world will read his name and see Stephen McDonald Way. And each time that happens, it'll be another opportunity for the people who work in this place to tell Stephen's story, to continue his work, and to spread further his amazing message of compassion, empathy, and self-sacrifice. The city will never be able to repay the debt it owes Stephen and his family, because he wasn't just called to serve us. He was called to serve all people, in word, in deed, and in spirit. The best we can do, and all he ever asked of us, is to honor Stephen's legacy by trying to emulate his example. So when we face adversity, when life seems so unfair, so unjust, and unreasonable, we'll remember Stephen. When we endure hardship and suffer pain that makes us want to lash out or just give up, we'll remember Stephen. It won't be easy, but if we can think of him, we just might see that miracle happen. We might find the strength that Stephen saw in all of us. And we might face each day with his optimism, his understanding, and determination. That would do more than any plaque, memorial wall, or street dedication ever could. And although there will never be another Stephen McDonald, we are so fortunate that his inspirational life continues to motivate us forward, no matter the obstacles, towards the best version of ourselves. Finally, I want to thank all the men and women of the New York City Police Department who put on that uniform each and every day and fulfill the oath they took to the people of our great city. They do so in the footsteps of giants like Stephen McDonald and all the other heroes we've lost over the years. We will never forget them, and we'll never forget Stephen McDonald. Patty Ann, Connor, thank you for everything that you do. You embody Stephen's creed, and you live up to his example every day. He loved you both dearly and thought the world of you, and so do we. And you know that NYPD will be here for you always. Stephen McDonald was a New York City cop, a husband, father, son, and brother. He was a hero to millions around the globe. Thank you all for coming to Detective Stephen D. McDonald Way. Today and every day, to celebrate and honor this extraordinary man. Just have one final ask of Stephen. I think tomorrow night is the opening night for the Rangers. I think Adam's here. So, Stephen, a little help would be appreciated. Go Rangers. Thank you, everybody.
And thank you so much, Commissioner O'Neill. I'd now like to introduce the New York City Council Speaker, the Honorable Melissa Mark Favorito.
Good morning, everybody, and definitely want to add my voice and sentiment to the words of our mayor and our commissioner, and to everybody here representing the NYPD. Thank you for what you do each and every day, and on behalf of my colleagues, Helen Rosenthal and Vanessa Gibson and myself, it really is an incredible honor to be here with you, Patty, and with you, Connor, Sergeant McDonald, as we really continue to honor the legacy of Detective McDonald. As has been said and cannot be overstated in terms of the message and who Stephen was and the Detective McDonald was, and the message and legacy that he leaves behind, forever remembered as a hero who exemplified the very, very best of our city, who became a champion of forgiveness, of love, of clemency, when he forgave his attacker and taught every New Yorker what it means to be brave, courageous, and kind. A message that we can learn from each and every day and feels we need now more than ever. Detective McDonald's compassion and empathy over the last 30 years has left a lasting impact on all the residents of our great city, and the reason that we honor him with this street naming today. So with this co-naming of the 86th Street Transverse, and yes, it definitely is a much better way of remembering or honoring him, honoring this or naming this transverse in Central Park as Detective Stephen McDonald Way, that legacy will remain for generations to come. And it's not only the legacy he leaves behind, but the legacy also that he made alongside his family. So now that every time New Yorkers pass this sign, we can remember and reflect on that and his courage. So really a privilege and a true honor to be able to stand here today with each and every one of you that has joined us today. So we are looking forward to unveiling that sign. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much, Madam Speaker. It's now always a blessing to be in her presence. I now like to introduce Patty Ann McDonald.
I have Connor next to me just in case. Good morning, Mayor de Blasio, Police Commissioner O'Neill, City Council President Melissa Viorito, thank you so much. And our dear, dear family and friends, thank you all so much for being with Connor and I again today to celebrate Stephen's life and this tremendous, tremendous honor being bestowed upon Stephen. 1986 does not seem so long ago, yet when I look around this beautiful city, I realize how far we all have come. It was a long and difficult road that our family traveled for the past 30 and a half years. However, Stephen, Connor, and I would not have been able to do it without the unconditional love and loyal support received from all of you. Stephen was so proud to be a member of this department. From his rookie days assigned to the Lower East Side's 9th Precinct, Stephen truly believed in his calling to protect and serve others. He was honored to follow in the footsteps of his grandfather, father, and uncle. There was no other place Stephen wanted to be. When he put on that blue uniform and shield, you could see that this was his calling from God. Funny enough, when Stephen was finished with his rookie assignment of NSU, he asked to be sent to Brooklyn or the Bronx. But instead, he found himself here, as Stephen called it, his quotes, the oasis of the city, Central Park. Quickly, he met lifelong friends that he grew to love dearly. And I see so many of you here this morning. Thank you. Too many of you to name. Stephen found his new assignment even more rewarding. He truly felt he was sent to do God's work. Weeks before he was shot by a young 15-year-old youth, Stephen came home and told me a story about how he brought a young boy back to his family's apartment after this boy found himself in trouble. I'll never forget this night. Stephen gave his own personal phone number to the boy, and a lot of you here that know Stephen, that was Stephen, and his family, just in case Stephen could be of any help or guiding influence. And also, on a side note, we lived in a one-bedroom apartment, and I remember him saying, and a lot of family know this, "You don't know how lucky we are." And I'm looking around the apartment, no furniture, because we had just been married. I'm like, okay, I guess we're lucky. All he wanted to do was help people realize the love that we all had to share. Even then, before his life, our life was changed forever. As a wife of a cop, you learn quickly to deal with sudden changes in your daily plans. You quickly adapt to keep the family strong and focused. However, sometimes you cannot plan for everything. July 12th of 1986 will live with me forever. It began as a normal day. I was visiting my oldest sister, Julie, in the suburbs of Philadelphia. I was able to talk to Stephen right before he left for his shift and tell him that I loved him. Then it all changed within an hour. I was taken by car by the Pennsylvania State Troopers, then by the New Jersey State Troopers. As I inched closer to Manhattan, I realized my life was changing. When I saw Stephen lying on the gurney in the emergency room of Bellevue Hospital, I knew our life would never be the same. There have been many ups and downs since the car ride from my sisters to Bellevue. But I can tell you one thing. When all hope seems lost, when the darkness seems to swallow the light, there is always that one last thing, and that is our love for one another. Stephen and I are a true testament to that. When we were told by doctors that Stephen would never walk again, all hope seemed lost. Yet, it was the love of this great city and country that gave Stephen and I the strength to overcome the obstacles that we thought were impossible to overcome. I know that Stephen would tell you how honored he is for this great recognition. Stephen loved this precinct. Even after being shot, as most of you know that are here, and as the commissioner just mentioned, he would love to come back and drive around. He would love to imagine being back on patrol with his brothers and sisters in blue. He would love to watch the people of this city running, skating, and biking around the park and enjoying themselves. The smiles being made while everyone relished in the safety and beauty of Central Park was Stephen's confirmation that his sacrifice was well worth it. Stephen knew how lucky the three of us were to have each other for as long as we did. We were very blessed. He was a survivor of the 80s, where crime and violence unfortunately defined this city. Stephen would always remind Connor of the other line of duty families who wept for their loved ones who were lost during the vicious years of the 80s. Stephen made sure that we, as a family, would never, never forget their sacrifice, and we never will. In closing, I want to thank all of you. There are many, many special people who have come and gone, and Stephen, Connor, and I are so lucky that we had all of you in our lives. Our story is your story. When the odds are stacked against you, never give up. In times where bitterness and division can destroy communities, do not let anger destroy your heart. We all come from different walks of life with different points of views. Yet, as Stephen told Connor and I countless times, never ever forget, love is the way and the truth. Thank you so much, everyone. God bless. Thank you very much.
Please remain standing as we invite the McDonald family, along with the mayor, the police commissioner, the chief of department, the first deputy commissioner, and the speaker of the city council, over to our street sign. Please make a slight left so you can view it. Mr. Mayor, Commissioner, follow me.